I'll be presenting on my thesis topic basically, and I'm working on CO2 electrode reduction using copper electrodes. So problem of CO2 is already well known, and as this graph shows that according to US Environmental Protection Agency, CO2 is one of the major contributor in all the greenhouse gases. And as we can see from this graph, it's 81% of all the greenhouse gases. Problem of CO2 is not new actually. This graph shows that since the last 70 years, there is a meteoric rise, and this actually shows a rise parts per million. I'm pretty sure it's not a very tough graph to understand, but yeah, it shows that CO2 emissions have constantly been increasing. So to tackle this problem, carbon capture was proposed, and it started back in 1970s. So to capture excess carbon was the idea, first of all. And as of 2020, there are 21 large-scale carbon capture and storage facilities around the world. Though it comes with a limitation that, okay, we are capturing a lot of carbon dioxide from the air, but we are actually not doing anything out of it. So in 1980s, especially in 1984, a researcher called Dr. Yoshio Ohari from Japan, he discovered the electrochemical reduction of CO2, and subsequently there was a photochemical processes were discovered as well. Though photochemical processes require complex ligands, like it's a branch of chemical engineering dealing with ligands. It's a bit complex as its name is, and it's really costly actually. So a lot of research was done in electrochemical reduction, which uses metals like zinc, iron, copper, palladium, and many others. Though a lot of research has been focused on copper because it was found to have unique properties. So this particular image shows a layout of commonly used electrochemical cell, and in my research, I work with this as well. So as you can see that there is a cathode, anode, and there is this proton exchange membrane. So cathode is usually copper or like any other material like zinc and let's say palladium. And anode is platinum. So platinum being the one of the most noble elements known. So what actually happens is we split water or gaseous water vapor actually into hydrogen and oxygen, and through this proton exchange membrane, H plus ions go to the cathode where CO2 is there, which further is broken into, let's say, carbon monoxide free radicals, and then it reacts with the H plus ions, and we make electrofuels. I'll talk a bit more about it in the next slides. So copper, why actually copper? So copper has a unique ability to produce as far as 16 products. And it's when it was found, it was like a big breakthrough. Like maybe it was thought that it could change the world. But apart from that, copper can work at intermediate over potentials, and which actually requires really less amount of electricity to work. Then copper has the distinctive ability to reduce carbon dioxide to two electron products like ethanol, ethane, which has two carbon in their chains basically. And then again, copper can produce products at high Faradic efficiency. And what is Faradic efficiency? Then it is defined as the amount of products produced at the cathode upon the amount of charge transferred. This slide again discusses the versatility of products that copper can produce. So we can see that it can produce alcohols, aldehydes, and other useful hydrocarbons such as methane, ethane, ethylene. And let's research topics like products like formic acid, oxalic acid, and others. Though it has been, I've been talking really nicely about copper, it comes with its own set of problems. Like it has a really small deactivation time ranging from 5 to 150 hours. And it is definitely not suitable for an industrial application, which require at least like, let's say 3 years for an catalyst to work. Then again, there is low Faradic efficiency of certain products, like formic acid, which is being extensively researched in the university I'm working in. Then selectivity of a specific hydrocarbons is still in research phase. Like again, I said oxalic acid, formic acid, they can be a byproduct, but they are barely being researched now. So, and again, cost energy effectiveness. Even though copper is not a really costly material, if you have to change copper, let's say every 5 hours to 15 hours for your research, then it starts to become costlier because we are dealing with pure copper. And one major lapse in this field of research is that there are no scientific standards set to compare results of different groups. Though ending the presentation on a more positive note, the future scope of this field of research is that this research needs to be done to overcome short deactivation times. And products apart from methanol and carbon monoxide needs to be researched. And modification of material microstructure, alloying of elements, and doping should be explored more. In my particular case, I work a bit more on modification of material microstructures and see how it impacts CO2 reduction. Last but not the least, capital investment by bigger industry players need to be done so as to sustain this research. And cheaper CO2 capture technologies need to be researched on. So like, because it is the beginning of the chain where this research starts taking place. Thank you very much, guys.